Anyway, I fell in love with my physician's assistant at St. Francis, I think it was, hospital in San Francisco when I had to have my hip replaced. Okay, I had hip arthritis, which in your late 40s, man, it's like, fuck. And I said to the doctor, I was like, I'm not old. He's like, you're old now. Right now, you get your hip replaced, that's officially old. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You are a senior citizen. I had to have my entire hip replaced. It's a kind of major surgery. And I had to go in for like 5 pre-appointments, scheduling appointments, all sorts of things with the physician's assistant named Jess. And she was so beautiful. And she was this California blonde. She was in her like probably late 30s. And she was this kind of a surfer girl. And she was really cool and she was single. And I fell in love. I don't know if she did, but I was determined that was going to happen, and I wasn't going to be weird about it. I was going to wait a couple months till after the surgery and maybe send her a gift card and stuff and be like, hey, let's go surfing. And I was going to learn how to surf, and I'd be like, hey, let's go surfing. And then, but I had this problem. I was afraid of having a freak out when I woke up from the general anesthesia. Has anyone heard about this? Has anyone had this happen to them? It's a thing. And so I was nervous about that, and I didn't want that to happen. And so you're in this little pre-room, not even a room, right? It's just the drapes, whatever. And there's an operating room nurse, and there was the anesthesiologist, and they're getting me prepped. And I said, hey, can you tell me, like, is it true that some people like wake up and cry and have a panic attack when they come out of general anesthesia? And she said, yeah, like maybe 10%. I said, why is that? Why does that happen? And she said, because there's no sensation of time passing when you're under general anesthesia. It's not like sleeping. You're awake and then you're awake, right? It's like that. And so if you go under nervous, anxious, freaked out, you're going to wake up nervous, anxious, freaked out, and really confused, really discombobulated. And that might be too much for some people, and you might cry a little bit and scream. And I was like, well, how do we avoid that? What can I do? And she goes, you know what? Just have fun with it. Just go in there with a fun attitude, be silly, make jokes. You see where I'm going with this? I was like, fuck yeah, that's kind of my thing, right? So they're wheeling me in, and the anesthesiologist starts that drip. You know the drip I'm talking about? Some of you did it before the show, right? It's a new age, the internet. You can find anything, right? And it makes you feel a little drunk, right? It's before they give you the fucking, whatever that stuff is called. What's that called? What, how the fuck do you know that?
I love that stuff.
You love that stuff?
Yeah, I do.
All right, well, we'll talk after the show. We're going to get this man some help. Michael Jackson and Prince love that stuff, so do what you will with that information. And I started to feel a little drunk, and they're wheeling me in, and I'm just chitty-chatting with the anesthesiologist and with the nurse, and they sort of burst through the doors of the operating theater, and it's all white, and there's lots of people, and there's a lot of action, and I just yell out, let's play like champions today, team. And they're like, oh, this guy is delightful, this is gonna be so fun. And then Dr. Nicholas Mast, I call him Dr. Nick, which is funny if you like The Simpsons. I was like, Dr. Nick, let me see your hands. He comes over and he holds his hands out, and he goes, steady as a rock. Like just yes-anding, right? Just yes-anding with me. We're riffing off each other, we're having fun, it's awesome. And he said, do you have any questions before we begin? I said, yes, I do. At any point during this operation, are you going to stick anything up my butt? And everyone laughs, and he goes, no. And I say, what if I pay extra? Isn't that so fun? And the anesthesiologist, God bless him, says, let me see the money. And I say, it's in my butt. And I wake up. I woke up. And I'm chuckling, and I'm confused. It was like I had sort of teleported. And there's Jess, Dr. Jess, and she's busying herself with clipboards, and she's moving tubes and wires, and she's kind of not making eye contact with me. Like, it wasn't like our pre-surgery rapport. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so is everything okay? And she's like, yep, you got a new hip. Everything's good. And I said, that's incredible. The last thing I remember saying was that I had money in my butt. And I'm laughing. And then she looked at me and she goes, that may be the last thing you remember saying. That was not the last thing you said. All right, everybody, I gotta go. That's my time. This was fun though, right? Thanks a lot. I've been great. Good night.